I seek through this video to share with all my fellow countrymen, all my brothers and sisters of India, my last reflection on the parliamentary proceedings pertaining to the no confidence motion moved by the India coalition. In particular, in this video, I seek to offer one comment, not more than one comment, on the Prime Minister's very protracted, assertive response or reply. I know a great deal of discussion has already happened in this regard, and people, my viewers, might think that I'm belaboring what's already an exhausted topic. It may seem so, but what I have to say in this video I don't think has been said before. And I make bold to say this because I know how important it is for us to be conscious or aware of this aspect of the Prime Minister's approach to the problem. Well, at the beginning itself, I want to leave a margin for the fact that tactically it's incumbent on the Prime Minister facing a no confidence motion, no matter how hopeless the motion seemed, to sound confident and pretend that he remains completely beyond the reach of all these political strategies, that no attempt to destabilize his government will succeed, and that if the no confidence motion has been moved with the sinister and surreptitious intent to dent the image either of the Prime Minister or of the party, keeping the 2024 general elections in mind, to send the message loud and clear that such calculations are misplaced and that these strategies will not pay. All that I can perfectly understand. And I think on these parameters, the Prime Minister has done a very competent job. Not very inspiring for a person like me, who is an old man, who would rather have appreciated tones of compassion and fellow feeling, especially a touch of solidarity with the victims of this protracted atrocity in progress in that hapless state. So I've prefaced what I have to say. In my most sincere opinion, yes, I can understand all of that. But there is one element in the Prime Minister's speech that troubles me, and troubles me greatly, which is the reason why I'm highlighting it or registering my thinking or sharing with all of you my thinking on this aspect. The Prime Minister, I think, went out of his way to convey to everyone, not merely in the Parliament, but to the citizens of the country, insofar as the parliamentary proceedings were being televised nationwide. And predictably, millions and millions of people sat glued to the television, especially when the Prime Minister was speaking, because when the Prime Minister speaks, the nation listens, as is right and proper to do. So here was a speech delivered, though in the Parliament, not merely to the Parliament, but to the country at large. And I'm pretty sure that's the intent with which the Prime Minister spoke, and that's also why I'm sharing this thought with all of you. Now, the point that the Prime Minister hammered is that the miserable plight of the people in Mizoram, an integral part of India, our brothers and sisters, fellow citizens, entitled to all the protections that the Indian Constitution offers, particularly the protection of life and limb, liberty, etc. The overwhelming impression that the Prime Minister created through his speech, I do not know if that was his intention, but I can only speak about the intent because I have no way to get into the mind of the Prime Minister and read the hidden intent if it's different from what I am saying. The overwhelming impression that the Prime Minister of the country sent to 140 Indians far and near is that the outcomes of elections in this country, particularly the general elections, which sends members to the Parliament of India, Lok Sabha, will remain completely uninfluenced by anything that happens in Manipur, no matter what atrocities are perpetrated, no matter for how long human misery protracts and prolongs, no matter what level of inhumanity does its death dance in that miserable state, no matter how mountainous human misery ascends, it will have absolutely no bearing on the electoral outcomes in this country. That is to say, the Prime Minister, knowingly or unknowingly, sent a message or created an impression or broadcast an impression that the electoral process in this country will remain completely immune to the plight of citizens. Today it is Manipur, and tomorrow God knows whose turn will come. But nothing that happens to people anywhere in the country is going to affect the outcome of the 2024 elections, and the outcome is already written in stone. So much so, conducting the elections is superfluous when you know the result in advance. I can also predict confidently the formation of the next government. When the Prime Minister creates that impression, even as a matter of strategy to counter, shall we say, the despicable intentions of the opposition party, the message that he carries or sends abroad to the people of India is that election results in this country will remain unaffected by human misery of any extent. Now, therefore, the question will naturally arise, and any sensible person who wants to understand this conundrum will raise the question, Mr. Prime Minister, how can this be? Mr. Prime Minister, we are worried because we know that in practical terms, in realpolitik, politicians who become rulers try to behave themselves, adhere to constitutional principles and the ethics of governance, remain sensitive to the hopes and aspirations of the citizens, ensure that basic human welfare is not grossly violated. Politicians will do all of these things only if they have some fear of the likelihood of being punished by people through the only power that they have, namely the power to vote. The power to vote out a government that remains contemptuous or negligent of their welfare. So if and when a situation comes into existence, that irrespective of how citizens are treated, irrespective of how citizens are abandoned and disowned by the state, irrespective of how grossly human welfare is undermined and how individuals are insulted, humiliated, killed, their properties burned, their lives paralyzed. The outcome of elections will remain unaffected, unchanged, and wholly predictable. Then actually, Mr. Prime Minister, what you're saying to the country at large is that there is a complete divorce between politics and morality. That's the only message that the people of this country will get. And that's a very unhealthy message to send from the highest office of this country to the citizens all over the country. As someone who has lived lifelong serving the youth of India, as someone who has done his absolute best in participating in nation building through the key sector of education, I have to now say that I am greatly worried about this change in the general perception about the connection between good governance and electoral success. Because in effect, what's the message that is conveyed is good governance can become superfluous, if not superfluous, of marginal importance as far as retaining power is concerned. You would remember, Mr. Prime Minister, that when you fought first as a prime ministerial candidate, you foregrounded development. You made promises about improving the lots of Indians. And the whole country put its trust in you. And the country is desperately holding on to that trust. And I speak as one who does it. But, Mr. Prime Minister, your speech in the Parliament has shaken that trust. I don't know if you are aware of this. I do not know if you are aware of this consequence or this fallout, but it's my duty as someone who cares for the future of India, cares for the people of India, cares for the health of Indian democracy, to seek your honorable attention to the fact that this message was most unfortunate. For any democratic polity to be party to the creation of a political situation in which elections can be won election after election after election without any reference to fulfilling the honorable pledges made to the people of the country via the constitutional pledges taken by the parliamentarians, members of the cabinet, so on and so forth, I believe is a very sad situation indeed. Furthermore, it's also a cynical comment on the people of India. That comment actually adds up to this, that by and large the people of India are utterly indifferent to the misery of their fellow citizens in places like Mizoram, or in places where it pleases the powers that be to look the other way when orchestrated outbreaks of injustice, cruelty, conflicts, and human suffering break out in a volcanic fashion. This too is very unfortunate. I would like to believe, and I'm trying to persuade myself to believe, that this was not the intended message. And therefore, I close this with an appeal to you with folded hands to clarify this issue to the people of India, that your confidence about continuing in office, about which none of us has any problem. It's your right to continue in office if the people of India endorse you. And it's the duty of all citizens to accept you as our Prime Minister, because we live in a constitutional democracy. I plead with you to clarify, send a message with all the rhetorical power, unmatched rhetorical power that you have, a clarification to the country as a whole that this was not the intended message, and that you and your party respect the reality or the possibility that there is a very substantial connection, an organic connection between good governance and possible victory in elections. That is to say, the idea that elections can be won irrespective of the quality of governance one presents to the country or offers to the people is not an acceptable idea both to you and the party. And that the holy connection between politics and morality will be maintained and respected. Mr. Prime Minister, let me also recall here one of the things that moved me very deeply about the life of Gandhi. Gandhi used to break off from very important parleys that pertain to the destiny of free India, in order to go and feed a little lamb, a little sheep. Through that, Gandhi was sending an important message to his political associates. The message was that the last form of life must be respected. That little sheep standing there has as much right to exist in a state of welfare as you, the leader, whether it is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, whoever. Mr. Prime Minister, that is a hope of the future. The quality of a nation's democracy must be and will be measured in terms of the quality of the commitments that the rulers make to the lost and the least. Today, the people of Manipur are lost. I request you to find them. I request you to go to them with a message of hope. I request you to extend your hand, your healing touch upon them. I know full well that you can bring this mayhem to a full stop in less than 24 hours. I know you have the power to do it. I know you have the acumen to do it. And it will be a pity if you don't do it, because, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't want in later times people to sit in judgment on you and ridicule you for not doing what you jolly well could have done. Let me close this video by recalling our accidental meeting, but I think providential meeting in Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York, in the year 2000. And I remember how graciously you talked with me. I remember the sharing of minds, the tete-a-tete we had. But Prime Minister, at that time you were not even the Chief Minister of Gujarat. But I tell you, when I was sitting with you and I was sensing the quality of your personality, you know how I felt? I felt that you had oceanic depths in you. Believe you me, that was the impression I had. I felt that I was in the presence of someone very powerful. Very powerful. And for me to feel that at a time when you had absolutely no office of the state is something. I've never forgotten that. And let me also on this occasion recall the couple of encounters we had. Once, as we both were emerging from Vigyan Bhavan after the National Integration Council meeting, I greeted you. You acknowledged me very warmly, spontaneously. And then I told you that we used to write the black and white columns in the Times of India. We used to be pitted against each other. I said I was always arguing against you. I hope you remember what you told me. You said, so what? This is a democracy. You have a right to hold on to your views. I have a right to express my views, but that does not prevent us from becoming friends. Mr. Prime Minister, I've never forgotten those words. I will never see you away from those words, because that truly expresses who you are. And I would not have done this video except for my abiding faith in you. I know that that irreducible core of goodness in you will wake up and will rise above the compulsions of realpolitik. That your heart will melt, Mr. Prime Minister, because you have a heart. Even if political calculations tell you to deny it, you have a heart. I can't believe otherwise, because for some strange reasons, we have interacted very briefly, and I consider that my good fortune. You can't change, Prime Minister. You're still the Narendra Modi I met in the past. I hold you in great respect. I cannot think otherwise of you. Heal Manipur. Time is running out. For God's sake, heal Manipur. Thank you.